This is Noontime LALATE. Big questions grow as whether this coming week could see a stock market boom or a stock market crash. Is stimulus coming too late to the ball game? This is the big question as we start a noontime broadcast. There's big questions about whether there's a fears of a market crash looming, as the jobs numbers on Friday were through the roof. I'll have all the details in this video. Meantime, there's a question as well of whether there's also a fear of a market boom. Is the market boom also a fear across the board, where analysts may have underestimated the strength of this economy? And if the economy is booming too quickly, what does that, of course, mean then for the next question, which is your forced stimulus checks? Could your forced stimulus be coming too late if there's an economic boom coming too early? Wall Street crash, Wall Street boom, and its impact on your forced stimulus checks and forced stimulus package. In this video, I'll analyze how these can impact the big money that you should be getting under forced stimulus and why it may not get to the finish line. I'll have all the details across the board as Noontime LA continues, starting right now on LALATE. Happy Easter, everybody. Happy Sunday. I hope you are doing well, and thank you for joining me on Noontime LA. As that $1,400 third stimulus check lands in your bank account today, this week, this coming days, the next question is that reoccurring forced stimulus check. Democratic senators want to give you a reoccurring stimulus check, and it looks like it's going to get to the finish line. It looks like a reality, but there's a catch. What's the catch? The balancing of a market boom and a Wall Street crash. Both events could happen across the board. And why that would impact your forced stimulus is a big question. And in this video, I'm going to answer the big questions that people have been asking. Wall Street boom or stock market crash? Which one's going to be happening now that we see those incredible growth numbers from Friday on the job front? If you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. I don't want you to miss a single video across the board. This channel empowers you with information to ensure you know how to get from point A to point B on investing, financing, understanding the markets, and understanding how to be financially sound across the board. Also, like this video, and if you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. You may be a person who's never had any intentions to invest one penny in the stock market, but you need to know what's going on with it because it impacts you. You also need to understand how a Wall Street boom or a Wall Street crash could impact your pocketbook if you have nothing to do with it. In this video, I'm going to explain the details happening right now. This is what's going on. On Friday, the jobs numbers were released to the American people, and the jobs numbers was through the roof. It was a number that no one saw coming, and that number caused concerns. One of the concerns is a fear of a stock market crash. Why? On Monday, we're going to see if the 10-year Treasury note trades up on the news of this growth. How does this work? Let me explain the details. When Wall Street looks at numbers, it looks upon projections, looking out into the future, and embeds certain risks on the high side and risks on the low side. The current thought process was that the unemployment numbers in this country would remain improving, but at a slow rate until next year. And with that, the Federal Reserve, the President of the United States, and his Treasury Secretary all said stimulus would be in place until early next year because people are going to be unemployed. The benchmark, 8 million jobs missing. The issue, how many jobs are created per month? 8 million missing, how many generating per month? So you balance those factors and you look at them and you thought 16 months. It looked like we were generating 300,000 jobs a month. That's what we did in February. So it looked like about 16 months until we're back to normal. And then on Friday, the numbers came in. 1 million jobs created in 1 month when only 8 million are missing. Could we be back to normal in 8 months? Well, the analysts said no, maybe 4 months. Why? Because analysts on Wall Street said in 4 months, you could see 2 million jobs generated every month. And in 4 months, we could be back to normal. Does that mean the Federal Reserve would not provide stimulus anymore? And what about the White House? What would happen to your stimulus hopes if jobs are restored in 4 months? What about you? It's a big question. And one of the questions we won't know the answer to for at least 30 days until we see the April jobs numbers. At the end of this month, we'll see the April jobs numbers and see if it's 1 million jobs or 2 million jobs generated in the month of April. And if it's 2 million jobs, we need to have a concern. But what we're going into on Monday is the following. Wall Street has been closed since the jobs numbers were released, and this is what you need to know. First, is there a fear of a market crash? This is what could be happening among certain economic factors. First, the 10-year Treasury note trades up when the numbers are too good. And the numbers on Friday were very, very good. They blindsided people because they were so good, that 900,000 jobs created in the month of March. So the 10-year Treasury note may trade up very abruptly. The last time it did, a few weeks ago, the stock market crashed because the 10-year Treasury note caused a flight out of stocks into the 10-year Treasury note. And with that, the Federal Reserve had to answer the question whether the Federal Reserve was going to continue its monetary policy if the 10-year Treasury note goes to the roof. Well, next week, we're going to see what's going to happen if that 10-year Treasury note goes to the roof. Jerome Powell, your head of the Federal Reserve, told NPR's Morning News in a live interview just this few days ago that as we make further substantial progress towards our goals, we'll gradually roll back the amount of treasuries and mortgage-backed securities we've bought. What are those? Those are stimulus. But then he said, we will gradually, over time, with great transparency, when the economy has all but fully recovered, pull back the support that we provided during emergency times. We will need to do that, but that time is not now. Well, when is that time? The Federal Reserve has said the time is not now because he thinks the jobs, 8 million jobs, won't be restored for many, many months. If they're restored in 4 months, the time is now in 4 months. So this is why this is huge when you're considering for stimulus. Remember, those Democrats that are in the Senate want to give monthly reoccurring stimulus checks. It's a lot of money. And let me go over the money that we're talking about here, because it's money that you would get as a viewer, and it's money that you would need certainly right now. But if the market booms or crashes, what does this mean for you? If the bill got finished on July of the fourth stimulus package, and it was monthly stimulus checks of $2,000, well, to December, that's $12,000. And if it's $1,400 a month, that's $8,400 over 6 months. It's a lot of money. But here's the question. Can they get that bill done before June? Because if they don't get the bill done before June, then what? Here's what the Federal Reserve said just a few days ago. He said that we don't need to worry about supporting this economy because we're far from rebounding this economy. But if there's 2 million jobs generated this month, we could be only less than 3 months away from fully restoring this economy. So in addition to a fear of a stock market crash, there's additionally a question across the board of whether the stimulus is coming too late. More about that coming up in a second. But here's what I want to touch on as well, is really whether there's a fear of the market boom. This is where things are slightly different than people would normally expect. Here is where things are going, potentially, on this side. On one side, we have the fear of the market collapsing. On the other side, we have fear of the market booming. Why is there a fear of a market booming? Because you assume that market booming, doing well, is good. What's fearful about that? It's fearful for the purpose of stimulus. If the stock market does rally on Monday's news and continues to rally and loves the news that the labor market is doing really well, well, then it's going to drive the labor market up. As stocks go up based upon the expectation that businesses and the American economy will be better. And if businesses in the American economy are better and they boom, then stimulus has less of a hope. That's how there's suddenly a balancing of the questions of whether there's a fear of a market boom. A market boom has a lot of other factors involved with them. One of them is underestimating the boom. If you've seen over the last few weeks, a couple of people want to give a spirit of impending doom, crash, burn, everything's going to go down, everything's going to go down. Well, guess what? If everything goes up really fast, they're not ready for it. Because if you're predicting things to go down, you're not ready when things go up. And here's the rub. What are the risks embedded in the market currently for purposes of understanding forced stimulus, and what are the risks not embedded in the market? One of the first risks not embedded in the market is a resurgence of the virus. Currently, we're seeing 5,000 new cases per day in 20 states. This could become a real concern if it continues to grow. If it's not a concern, it doesn't affect the market. Number two, risk of inflation. There's currently no big risk of inflation in the market because they don't see massive growth. But those Friday numbers were very strong. So if there's a big risk of inflation, could that push stocks down or up? Third, there's a big question about reopening plays. If businesses reopen, then what does that mean for you? It means that stimulus could be at issue. On Friday, the numbers showed that 280,000 jobs were created in the month of March for leisure and hospitality. This is hotels, this is travel. It means that businesses started to reopen and 280,000 new jobs were created because those businesses reopened. If people have their jobs back, there's less chance for stimulus. So ultimately, the question of whether there's a fear of the market boom, people may be left behind in estimating that there's only a market crash. When you look at these numbers from the Biden administration, paying children $3,600 a month and $3,000 a month, the president's message is very loud and clear. He wants to bring children out of poverty. But no one's going to be talking about children in poverty if there's 100% reemployment of the U.S. economy in 4 months. If we go to August and we see that all 8 million jobs are restored, no one's going to talk about the president's message to pay $65,000 to a child 18 years or younger over 18 years. What's going on? About 2 weeks ago, the president of the United States spoke to members of his staff and said he wants to pay children $300 a month for 18 years so that they're staying out of poverty level. Those messages don't resonate well if the entire economy is back to reemployment. Those messages do resonate well when there's 8 million jobs missing. So what's important to understand is that you don't want to be behind the path when getting stimulus out the door. As we look at third stimulus, there's a series of items that are currently going live in the next few days. Going live in third stimulus is rent, food, home, SBA grants, also refunds, child credits, hazard pay. All these items in third stimulus are about to go live. But what's important to understand is that you won't hear certain things like this come September if the market is booming. If the market's booming, there won't be any more rent grants or food grants. There won't be any more eviction moratoriums. Just a few days ago, the eviction moratorium for the CDC was extended to September. It's unlikely it's going to get extended again, and it certainly will never get extended again if we're back to full employment and the market booms in the next few weeks. Why these issues are very big and important is the following, is that ultimately, is if you see these rebooming of the economy across the different segments, then stimulus takes a back seat. What should you know when you're thinking and analyzing the situation? And how can you predict whether or not that boom is coming or whether that crash is around the corner? And is really the big issue at hand whether we're potentially too late for stimulus? Is forced stimulus coming too late? And really, has the Democrats waited too long to get that forced stimulus to the Senate? All that analysis coming up in a second. But first, here's a little bit about the community page and the assistance you can get for rent, utilities, food, and internet right now while it's around. You don't want to wait because it's not going to be around in a few months. I'll be back in 60 seconds. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now on Noontime LALATE as we analyze the question of whether forced stimulus is coming too late. Is forced stimulus coming too late in the fear that there may be a market boom or a market crash? A Wall Street market boom may be right around the corner as growing reopenings happening, as labor market numbers surge, as businesses get back to normal, and as profitability of businesses that were shuttered during the pandemic is restored. The question is whether that market boom is coming faster than forced stimulus. If you're in the live chat right now, drop right now what you think. Is forced stimulus too late or just fine? Do you think it's just fine, or is it coming too late? I'll be reading some of your questions and comments on air in just a second. What's important to understand is that forced stimulus is for stimulus. It's to say that the economy is not where it needs to be and it needs to be stimulated. Well, the problem when you're doing a stimulus package is it's delayed because it takes a certain amount of time to get it done. A reconciliation process is 2 months of a process at least. So if they started the reconciliation process today, it could be done by May at best. But if they don't get the reconciliation process done and started until late April, we may not see this bill into the Senate until June. And by June, what is the markets going to look like? This is not the first time I've discussed this subject matter. We discussed this back last year when we talked about the issue of when Mitch McConnell said, I want to look at this economy. Are we reopening? If you remember, last year we did reopen for a few months in July when we started to rebound a little bit. Numbers were looking good because that first stimulus was so robust. And then a series of Democrats and Republicans have said, no, we don't need much stimulus. The economy is looking good. The question is whether that economy is looking too good too soon right in the next few months, and whether we can gauge those sentiments now, whether we can look at those economic numbers now and get a sense of what this economy is going to look like in the next 2 months. Let me jump into the live chat right now and see some of your comments right now on what you think is going on. Do you think it's a potential market boom, or do you think it's the stimulus is coming too late? Stimulus too late or just fine? Let me see some of your comments right now. They need to hurry up on the stimulus, says Jenny. Let's see the numbers let's see what other people are saying. Just fine. Charlotte says we're doing okay. Fourth stimulus is fine. It's not like the third. Sharon thinks the time is just fine. NA says the timing is just fine. Needs to be done now, no, says El Marie. Who knows, says Colleen. They need to hurry, says Jenny. Pretty close, but it's just pretty close to just fine, says Sylvia. Drop in the comments now what month you think the fourth stimulus package should get signed into law. What month do you think the President of the United States should sign the fourth stimulus into law if you're worried like I am about where the economy is going? What month do you think the President should get this bill signed into law if the economy is rebounding too quickly? Is it May? Is it June? Is it July? Is it August? Is it September? What month do you think it's okay for the President to get the bill into law if the boom of the economy is happening? Let me see some of your comments right now. Not asking when the checks will go out, but rather when it becomes law. Colleen says May. Kathy says April. Christine says May. Akana says no later than June. There's Danielle. She says May. Christine says May. They need to hurry up, says Loco. May no later, says Sarah. April says Sinning. Paula says fast May. April 30th says El Marie. May Jenny. Dee Dee now. Jenny, another Jenny says May. Barbara says May. April says NA now. So viewers so far believe that based upon the strong economic numbers that are starting to come in, that doing forced stimulus now and getting it done by May is fine. But if we head into June, is that late? Let me see your reaction if I ask you if the bill signed into law by July would be too late for this economy. Do you think that this economy will be too strong by August? Do you think August, the economy will be too strong? If you think it'll be too strong by August, drop in the comments, too strong. A lot of people say, do it right now. There's Joyce says, do it right now as well. Another person also said, do it right now. Harold says April. Robert says too late. So when asked whether August would be too late if this economy is rebounding, the comments are coming in too late. When asked whether August for the forced stimulus package would be too late if the economy is rebounding, viewers are saying too late. There is Robert and Barbara and Danielle says too late. And there is Nancy saying too late. Gail says as soon as possible. It'll be too strong by then, says Dawn. Too strong maybe, says Colleen. Now, you and I know, we don't know for certain it'll be too strong, but there is a fear that it will be too strong by August. Helen says maybe mid-May to June. July is too late, says Patricia. Colleen says it's too late. Let me see more of the comments. The reason the economy is strong is because of the stimulus. On stimulus equals a strong economy, says Patty. Thank you for your comment. Ultimately, when we're looking at a forced stimulus package, it doesn't matter why the economy is strong. It's whether the economy is too strong that Democrats will no longer support that level of stimulus. We need it right now because we're still behind, says Anne. Very well said. And there are some really great comments coming in. Patricia says it won't be that strong by August. They'll need some time. Now, certainly what we're discussing in this video is not whether people need forced stimulus. We all know that people need forced stimulus. The question is whether the economic numbers of Wall Street, Main Street, and the U.S. labor numbers will be too strong by August that ultimately people will not want to give stimulus anymore. We need that help right now, says Marla. My area is not rebounding, says Sarah. Lake Como says, Loco says the virus numbers are still causing havoc and people still need a relief. And so there you are. Great comments from viewers in this chat. I really appreciate your interactivity. Wonderful comments and very great insightfulness from viewers in this chat. Let me tell you where we are as we sit here going into Monday morning. As we go into Monday morning, we're going to see the first time that Wall Street has seen and been able to react to Friday's labor numbers. The Friday labor numbers are very, very important for you, the viewer. Let me explain why. Wall Street deals with a lot of numbers. I deal with a lot of numbers. There's a lot of different economic numbers, but the number one economic number for stimulus is unemployment. The White House, the Treasury Secretary, the head of the Federal Reserve, all say that they determine stimulus based upon unemployment numbers. There's two unemployment numbers per month. There's the weekly jobless claims that come out every Thursday that has two components to it: the new jobless numbers and the reoccurring jobless numbers, meaning people who newly went on unemployment and people who are still on unemployment. That number's still very high. It's still 700,000 new jobless claims per week. Can you imagine? This channel has now approaching its 49th week, and their numbers have been over 700,000 for 49 weeks. So that number is still very high. A high number signals more need for forced stimulus. On the other hand, the monthly number is the job creation number, which is a little bit different than unemployment number. This is how many jobs were created. And this is important because the Federal Reserve, the Treasury Secretary, and the President all refer to the 8 million missing jobs as a reason for stimulus. Well, when are those 8 million jobs going to be restored? Gauging when those 8 million jobs are being restored is a very, very hard number to predict. Last week, Wall Street was predicting the number to come in about 400,000. It came in at 900,000. The month before, it was 300,000, and then they revised the number to 500,000 up. The biggest number is transportation and leisure, which a lot of people did not think was doing that particularly well, 280,000. Also, construction, 110,000 in just 1 month. So the question is, if Wall Street is having so much difficulty in predicting the job restoration numbers, how big will April numbers be? If April numbers stay at 900,000, you're good for purposes of stimulus. We're 8 months away then for restoring that 8 million jobs. 1 million a month over 8 months is 8 million jobs. That's the end of this year. We're fine for stimulus in the summer. But if we see 2 million jobs created in the month of April, and we continue at that rate or accelerate, then those 8 million jobs could be restored in the middle of the year in 4 months, and then suddenly the Federal Reserve will have mispredicted everything about when the jobs are being restored. Remember, Federal Reserve, Treasury Secretary, White House all think they won't be back to normal, those 8 million jobs restored until next year. If they are incorrect and the numbers are restored far earlier, then suddenly everything will have to go in a different direction. Wall Street may see a massive boom that was unanticipated, or it could also see a massive jump of the 10-year Treasury note, which could cause a massive stimulus, a massive crash of the market. You don't want the 10-year Treasury note going through the roof. It trades up on great news. And on Monday, we'll see whether it's trading up on that great news. And that ultimately signals the question of whether forced stimulus is too late. For now, viewers of this channel universally agree so far in the chat that if we get the stimulus bill out the door and signed into law by the president by the next 2 months, we're good. Few viewers were fine up to June, but most of the viewers thought August could be an issue. And boy, I agree 100% with you. What's August? April, May, June, July, August. It's 4 months from now. It's exactly 4 months from now. 2 million jobs, 4 months, 8 million jobs. You don't want to wait for this bill to get signed into law by August because everything could change by then. Elsewhere, if you did not hear on early mornings LA today, 5 million vaccination shots were done per day in the United States this weekend, which is a record number. So suddenly the more vaccination rollouts could also signal the impact on this as well. If you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Thank you for interacting with me on a great question answer session today. I'll see you next on Afternoons LALATE. If you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Also, like this video. Stay informed, stay focused, keep on smiling, and thank you for joining me on Noontime LALATE.